welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. Really quick before I start this video, I just want to do a disclaimer. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have completely just broken out in acne all in this area. So if my face looks really bumpy, that's why. Also, I kind of messed up on my eye makeup, but it doesn't really matter. I wanted to film, and it's one of the few days that I'm home alone for, so I'm filming now. But I would like, for this video and the next one, I'm going to be doing a two-part video of all the books that are currently on my radar. This part are going to be books that have already come out or are pre-2021 release books. Some of them I own, some of them I don't. So I'm going to get into it because I do have a lot to share. Also, the ones that I own are just going to be in a random order. They're kind of just sitting next to me and I'm just going to pull them up as I go through them. But the first book that I own that is on my radar that I have not read yet is Dear Haiti, Love Elaine by, oh, I definitely need to look up how to say these names, but it's Micaiah Moulet and Maritza Moulet, or Moulite. I should have looked them up before I did this video. I'm really sorry. But this book, from what I understand, is about a 17-year-old girl who is Haitian American, and I believe she gets in trouble and is sent to Haiti for a certain amount of time. And it's a book about American culture and Haitian culture. I don't want to like sit here and read the summary to you guys, but I actually was just flipping through it, and it does look like it's like one of those books kind of told in like multimedia as well, which I'm definitely here for. I do love a good book written in multimedia. I don't know a whole lot about this book, but I am very much interested in it. I've seen it on bookshelves. I've heard people talk about it. I believe Haley in Bookland did a video during her wrap-up that this book was mentioned in. I just can't remember which one it was, but I know that she's definitely talked about this book, and it is high up on my radar of books that I do want to read in the near future. And if you guys do watch my Wheel of TBR, it does fit multiple things. It fits a colorful spine, a character's name in the title, a book that doesn't take place in the United States, multi-authors, a BIPOC character. I believe that's also, yep, BIPOC authors. So it fits a lot, so hopefully it will come up very soon in my Wheel of TBR. The next book that is high up on my radar is Love, Rosie by Cecilia Ahern. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know that there's one book left in my 5-star prediction video for the first round, and this is it. I have read all other books in my original 5-star prediction video, and I do not think that I can do another 5-star prediction until I've read this one. Just like Dear Haiti, Love Elaine, this book will fit into a good amount of prompts in my Wheel of TBR. It has a character's first name, it doesn't take place in the United States, and it has been adapted into a movie. One of my all-time favorite movies, so this is definitely a book that I want to read in the near future. The next book that is on my radar currently is My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. I don't know a lot about this book. I'm guessing it has something to do with some sort of rom-com-y one-night stand that probably doesn't go the way the character wanted. Oh, nope. Hold on. Oh, I think it actually has to do with online dating. I don't know why though. It gives me major two-night stand, my two-night stand, horrible two-night stand. I can't remember what it's about or what it's called, but it has Miles Teller in it. It gives me vibes of that movie, and now that I'm talking about Miles Teller, I also think that he's a very problematic actor. I think there was something that went around about him. I can't remember what it was, but I did like that movie. But that's kind of the vibe I get from this. I read The Unhoneymooners this year by Christina Lauren and really loved their writing. This book would definitely fall into the multi-author prompt on my Wheel of TBR. It's somewhat of a colorful spine. I don't know if there's really anything else that this would fall into. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's definitely high up there for me. The next one is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Maybe in Another Life like 2 years ago by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Read nothing in 2020 by her, and I definitely need to get to this book. I loved it. I loved the original, or not, I didn't love this one. I loved The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and Maybe in Another Life. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is on my list of all-time favorite books, and I really loved this author. I believe, if I remember correctly, this book is about a couple who got married, and then the husband, like very soon after they got married, the husband dies, and she has to figure out how to pick up the pieces after his death. I believe that's what this is about. In all honesty, I don't know what this book could fall into in my Wheel of TBR prompts. I know that it has to fall into something, I just don't know what off the top of my head, but I am very, very intrigued by this book. So the next one is kind of a 2-for-1 kind of thing, but one of my best book reading friends, right ear friends, Kelsey, always recommends K.A. Tucker books to me, and I do own The Simple Wild and Say You Still Love Me by K.A. Tucker. One or both of these books I definitely want to get to in 2021. I definitely want to see what the hype about K.A. Tucker is. I've heard nothing but good things about her romances. I know that she also sometimes writes some thrillery books. And I believe this one takes place in Alaska, and it's like the girl has to go back after her father died, or her father's sick, or something like that. And I have no idea what this one's about. I would guess it's about going back home and running into like a high school sweetheart. Not 100% sure, but these are 2 books that I'm very, very intrigued to try to get to. I'm guessing if I ever spin a phone a friend on my Wheel of TBR, my friend is going to want me to read one of these 2. I'm always tempted to like message her and be like, hey, I'm gonna do my monthly Wheel of TBR. If phone a friend comes up, which one should I read? Because I know that she's begging me to read these. So the next one that I want to read that's on my radar that I currently own is I'm Not Dying With You Tonight by Kimberly Jones and Gilly Seagal. This is a book about 2 girls. I believe they're at like a high school football game, and yeah, they're at a high school football game, and violence, some sort of violence happens, and they end up kind of being stuck with each other for the rest of the night. It's either like they lock down together, or they're running together, or something along those lines, but one of them is black and the other one is white, so there's a little bit of racial tension, and I think that it is going to be a very interesting book, and it's going to say so much about what is happening in our society right now with police brutality and Black Lives Matter, and the fact that a high schooler knows what to do during such huge moments of violence in our lives, that students in America are able at the drop of a hat to know what to do if somebody comes and starts shooting up a football game or something along those lines. I believe that is what this book is about. I don't like to read summaries. I read you guys normally the synopsises when I do my books of TBR, but I don't want to overread summaries because then I get too excited, or not too excited. I get this idea in my head of what it should be, and then it doesn't end up being that, or sometimes summaries don't give the best examples. So I'm really sorry if I'm butchering synopsises, but that's just kind of what I remember about these books. This book will definitely fit some of my Wheel of TBRs though. Again, another multi-author. I seem to have a lot of multi-author books on my list currently. A BIPOC main character. I believe one of the authors, one of the authors is BIPOC, the other one is white. I also think this might be one or both of their debuts. And it's an illustrated cover. I can't remember if I said that, so it does fit a lot of prompts on my Wheel of TBR. Next one is something that everyone and their mother has been talking about at the end of 2020, but it is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. I have never read anything by V.E. Schwab. This book is probably completely out of my comfort zone, but I am so intrigued by the premise. It is about a girl, Addie Larue, who meets somebody who basically makes her immortal, but the catch of being immortal is that no one is going to remember her. So you would like meet Addie Larue on the street, and then you would forget that you've ever met Addie Larue, so no one remembers her, but then one day she meets someone who does remember her. It reminds me so much of the movie with Blake Lively that I think is just called Adeline, but it's about like the girl who just lives forever after like getting into a car accident, and I don't know, it just reminds me so much of that. And then with the like both of them being called Addie, but I am so excited to read this book. But I will be completely honest with you guys, I am putting this book off a lot because I want to read Love, Rosie first so that I can put this in my 5-star prediction video. So if you guys don't see this come up before Love, Rosie, that's why. The next one is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. It is about a set of twins who are separated during their childhood. I don't know if they're separated at birth or at a young age, and they grow up in very different lives, and it's their parallel stories. I don't know if they're ever trying to find one another or if it just tells the like parallels of their story. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book. This is another book that I may potentially choose to save for a 5-star prediction, but I also know that everyone I know who's read this book has then gone and put every single Britt Bennett book that she's written onto their TBR. It is totally loved and I am so totally intrigued by it. This is another book that fits so many of my prompts, being both a BIPOC author or BIPOC character, a colorful spine, an illustrated spine, just so many prompts. And then the last book I own that is currently on my radar that I would love to read in 2021 is Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. This is a book about a girl who I believe brings like her dead friend back from the dead, and some stuff ensues, but I don't really remember. It might be to like try to find her murderer or a bunch of friends die. I can't remember what it's about, but I know for a long time Books and Lala talked about this book for a really long time. Was super into it, super loved it. So it's been on my TBR pretty much since Books and Lala read it. And I don't know, seems like it would be a good Halloween-ish type read. And yeah, so those are all the books that I own. I'm really sorry if I messed up on any of their summaries. Those were all things I remember. But I do have another handful of books that I'm going to do in this part of the video, which are other books that were published before this year that are on my radar that I want to get my hands on and read. My list, as always, is on my phone, so if I'm looking down, that's why. The next book is A Very Punchable Face by Colin Jost. I don't know if this is a memoir or what exactly it is, but Colin Jost is one of my favorite people on SNL. If him or Pete Davidson are in a sketch, I will watch it. I love the two of them, especially Weekend Update. So I was very intrigued when I saw this book actually on, I believe I found it on the 2020 awards, probably under memoir. This is a book that I definitely will read in audio form, but I'm definitely interested in this book. The next one, oh, I just realized I did not put authors' names. I'm really sorry. The next book is American Royals. This book, from what I understand, is about basically if instead of stepping down from office, George Washington decided to make America a monarchy, and basically the people in charge of the country were still like descendants of Washington instead of our more democratic way that we go about it, where everyone is voted in every 4 years. I think it's a very interesting like what if, and I'm very intrigued. I definitely want to get to it. If I can find a cheap copy of it, I will definitely be buying it. The next one is The Guest Book List. I believe this is by Lucy Foley, but this book sounds like it'd be right up my alley. From what I understand, it's about, it kind of reminds me of like the Clue game, especially the movie that was based on the board game Clue, where they all go to a restaurant, to a, I think they go to an island in the book, and they are just like picked off one by one and you have to figure out who it is. It just reminds me so much of the movie Clue, and that is something that I really love. In all honesty, if I do end up getting a copy of this, which the next time Book of the Month doesn't have a book that I'm interested in, I probably will pick this one up. But in all honesty, this book would be one of those books that would fit under one of my favorite tropes, because that is a trope that I love. And like another way I think you could probably describe this is it reminds me of what I think Agatha Christie, that's not her name. Is it Agatha Christie writes. Like that's what I think she writes. I don't think I've ever finished a book, or maybe I have and I'm thinking of Then There Was One. Is that by her? I can't remember. And then the last book that is on my list for this part of my On the Radar series is Heartstopper. This would be my first graphic novel. I have been meaning to get my hands on it for the longest time. Everyone I know loves it. Everyone I know has read so much of the series, but it is a YA graphic novel about, I believe it's about two boys falling in love. One of them is very secure in his sexuality, whereas the other one is coming to terms with it, and it just sounds so cute. From what I heard, it's so cute and just kind of wholesome, and I'm so excited. I want to read it. But those are all the books that are very high on my radar, very much on my radar for 2021. As you guys know, I do my monthly wheel of TBR, and that really ends up determining what I read. I still probably have like 60 some odd books on my TBR shelf upstairs, so there's a chance that none of these books will get read this year. I hope that isn't true. I hope I can get to a good amount of them. But those are books that are just on my radar, books that I'm hoping I can fit into TBR spins. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And like I said, I'm really, really sorry if I messed up summaries on these books, but I don't like to read too many summaries, and I wanted to talk about why I was drawn to these books rather than like rereading them. And I'd rather find out that I'm wrong about what they're about when I'm reading them, but you can always let me know in the comments too. But yeah, I will be back hopefully in the next couple of days with the second part of this video. I'm gonna film it right now, so it just is a matter of how quickly I edit it. But that is books that are coming out in 2021 that are on my radar. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, worlders. I don't like this beginning. Love Lucy by I've heard nothing but good books about. Oh no, where's my phone? Oh no, I know where it is. Called A Very Punchable Face by